Hello and welcome to Marxisms. Please like and subscribe, and please comment and share and all that stuff. Anyway, today is kind of a slow news day, so it's really kind of the usual stuff. We're at war. We're bombing Iran. Troops are on the way. Nothing's happening on the ground yet, and Trump's numbers are down. His approval rating is in the tank. The economy's in the tank. Just the usual stuff. So I'm going to talk about something different today. There's been a lot of talk about this over the years, and I've seen some more recently about whether we are a democracy or whether we are a republic. Now, I remember being in the Republican Party, God, probably 20 years ago now, and our chairman, who I liked and respected very much, he was a local dentist and stuff. I think he's passed on now. Um, give a speech on why we're a federal republic or a constitutional republic or a federal constitutional republic rather than a democracy. And I remember just kind of scratching my head at some of the stuff because one of the things was why it was better was if you were a republic, then you're ruled by law. Okay. But if you're a democracy, you're ruled by the masses. So if you get to vote for things, you're going to vote. The majority is always going to vote against the minority. That was their kind of, you know, but in a republic, it's ruled by law. Well, you know, yeah, but we still get to vote. We have an indirect democracy, so we still vote for the people who vote for stuff. Um, and I have to point out that we had a republic in the beginning of this country, and it is a republic today, but it was more of a republic and less of a democracy in the beginning, and we had slavery. So the minority didn't really have any rights under that so-called law, and neither did women. So that just kind of doesn't really pan out as far as that goes. So that is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, see, these are interchangeable. We did become more of a democracy in 1917 when we made um, did away with the um, Senate being appointed by the legislature, which it originally was. They were appointed by the state's legislatures, both senators, and now they're elected by popular vote in the state. Um, I don't know if it's any better or worse. I think there's pros and cons to both ways. To be honest with you, I'm not going to get into that here, but when we were less of a democracy, we made decisions against minorities, so that doesn't really pan out. Um, a direct democracy, we vote for our representatives, and then our representatives go and represent us. And if they don't represent us properly, we can vote them out. Um, so there really isn't much difference. I mean, it's kind of funny because they used to bandy around a lot of. They used to talk about a lot of different things back in the Republican Party when I was in there, and I know some of these things are still out there. Somebody just commented recently on the Federal Reserve and stuff like that, and there's a lot of ignorance about that as well. Um, yeah, I read the book Creature from Jekyll Island, and I don't know if it's a perfect plan, but I am a fan of central banking. I think it's a good idea. We wouldn't have the economy that we have today. We would have been an agrarian economy. We would never really would have, um, become a great nation. I mean, we would have eventually, but because it just would have happened because of our geography, it made it easy to move goods and things like that. But um, one time in a Republican Party meeting in where I lived in Sonoma County, she was actually the president of Eagle Forum in California. Phyllis Schlafly's group, who has since passed on as well. I think this Orlean was her name. Anyway, she gets up and she's like they're trying to end the Fed or audit the Fed. There was this big movement with the libertarians that were taking over the party, the ones that became the big Trump supporters ultimately, which is weird. Um, so, so she gets up and she says, "Our founding fathers were against central banking." And she makes this speech, and I'm sitting there kind of aghast because I'm a big history buff here, and I happen to have a book over here. It was written by a congressman back in like the 50s, and it's he wrote about Jefferson a lot. He was kind of a Jefferson Thomas Jefferson file or whatever, but he was um, loved Thomas Jefferson and just praised him up one side and down the other, and I was just like, because I'm not a big fan of Thomas Jefferson. He was a hypocrite, and this guy completely puts down Hamilton. But anyway, in the one of the books that he's talking about Congress, and it's some good history with his own little spin on it. But the very first thing we voted on in Congress was whether to have a central bank. It was like the first day. It was the first session of Congress. It was the first vote in Congress. And guess how our founding fathers voted? They voted in favor of it. Now, Madison, who she had cited, Orlean had cited in her little speech, was against it. And I think she quoted him and stuff like that. But here's the interesting thing about that and James Madison. When he became president, guess what he did? He founded the Second National Bank of the United States. So, bottom line is, those years that went by from the Constitution just being passed and a government being put in place, they make that first vote, and he argues against it. So, in that time period between then and when he became president of the United States, which was a number of years, he began to realize that he was in fact wrong, and that the central bank actually worked really well. It worked in favor. In fact, we've had more runs on the banks and problems like that when we've eliminated the central bank, like under what's his name, um, Jackson, under Jackson. But anyway, Andrew Jackson, when he was president, it caused a lot of problems. Is it perfect? No, of course not, but better than the alternative. Anyway, so it was one of those things that I used to find these really odd arguments that went on back in the day, and one of them is the argument against, no, we're not a democracy, which is it's just silly. We are a republic, we are a federal constitutional republic, and we are an indirect democracy. Because actually, if you look at what a federal government is, it's part of that is the participation of the people in indirect democracy. Is one of the basically the definitions of a republic, a federal republic, or a constitutional republic. So it's kind of a silly argument, but I just thought I'd bring that one up today because there's not really anything else going on. But also, I want to remind you that today should be, barring any major news, if Chuck Norris doesn't die again, or if we don't invade on the ground in Iran, or if something else doesn't happen, Bajan R. Mavawala II, his case will be on PBS NewsHour, should be today, at 6 o'clock Eastern time. And it is, so that would be 3 o'clock. Yeah, that'd be 3 o'clock Pacific time. So then you can figure out the in betweens. And he was the gentleman that was arrested by the FBI for peacefully protesting. He's one of the Spokane Nine. They were peacefully protesting two Venezuelan refugees who were here on refugee status, which is a legal status to be in the United States. And they were going to court, and they were detained by ICE when they were going to court. And so this group of people were mostly peacefully protesting. The person I'm talking about was in fact peacefully protesting. What other people did was their business, but this gentleman was there peacefully protesting. There was a group of them that's what they were doing. Bajan Malvawala, his great grandmother or grandmother, great grandmother, I think, was the goddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi. Peaceful protest is an important part of their family tradition. Bajan Malvawala and his father, Bajan Malvawala Jr., is they're both Afghan, and well, Jr. is a Iraq vet and an Afghan vet, and they're both combat vets. Now, Bajan Malvawala II, the one who was arrested, he was in Afghanistan, and he saw a lot of action. Um, so he is definitely a combat vet. He's a patriot. He served this country, and he was also serving this country when he was protesting against an illegal activity by ICE, as we all should be doing, and it is our right under the Constitution to do that. Now, this is a test case to see if Bajan, if he's convicted, then anybody who is he's been indicted on conspiracy charges. So, bottom line is, if you go to a protest, if you like look online and you see that there's a protest and you go to a protest, if they win this case, you go to that protest, you can be arrested for conspiracy. For so they're stripping a constitutional right here. The First Amendment gives us the right to redress our government, and peacefully protesting is part of that. Always has been, and always should be. Bajan's my hero. He's fighting for that. And then his father is actually running for Congress. And there's the history between us is that I've known Bajan since sixth grade. We went through scouts together and graduated from high school together. And we've been, seeing each other off and on over the years. And then, of course, have, once social media came about, have been, on opposite sides of the political spectrum for a long time. But we're actually on the same side now. Because I am no longer a Republican, because there's no way I could be. But anyway, so go check that out. It's supposed to be really well done. Um, and you can you can watch it on TV, obviously. You can also stream it on YouTube, which is what I'm going to do. Anyway, that's it for today. Oh yeah, one more thing. There should be a video up here. My last video, go check it out. You can, on the other side is a like and subscribe button, or a subscribe button. Please subscribe. Please like too. And please comment and share.